Would you call me daddy?
No.
Why not?
Well, because
Call
you're
me
not my
daddy,
dad.
Andrew.
But you're not my dad.
But I want you to call me daddy. I view myself as your daddy.
Well, but you're not my dad.
But you're right. She's not a man.
But if you want
she's
me,
not a woman.
But if
she's
you
a
wanted
man.
me to call you son, I would call you son.
I mean, that's kind of what's going on with the Democratic Party today, though, right?
With what? Great pivot.
Right? That's what's going on with the Democratic Party today.
I think what you're talking about, like their lack of ability to kind of understand where kind of mainstream America's sentiments are.
All right, everyone. In today's video, we're breaking down a conversation that perfectly exposes the mental gymnastics of woke logic, and Patrick Bet-David just straight up dismantles it. Andrew Schulz tries to play the fence, but PBD doesn't let him get away with the just call them whatever they want nonsense. If you've ever been gaslit by progressive language cops, this is your moment of validation. Let's get into it.
The only guy that's saying we screwed up with transgender is Newsom. The only guy that's
Well, he wants to be president.
He wants to be. He reads like he's got to get to the center, but everybody else like no, trans this, and we still believe in this, and we that is not fair, and that you better call him a woman because she is a woman. No, he's a man. No, and there's the ruckus on what was it, House Congress, Rob, the one congressman got up and speaks, and they were upset because somebody called him sir. You know which one I'm talking about, Rob?
Yes,
yeah. I mean, they still don't want to give that up. That's a dude, right?
That's a dude.
Which one? Which one? The senator? There's a congressman that's trans? Is that what you're saying?
Of course there is.
This one right here.
Watch this. Go for it.
I recognize the
Mr. McBride.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ranking member.
Madam Chair.
boom.
Okay.
So
Which one is Mr. McBride?
all the way on the right.
Right here.
Can you pull up the picture
I
on
mean,
screen,
at least
right?
it looks like.
So she's a trans woman,
Yeah.
right?
Trans woman.
So like this is the thing that actually I think is where everybody loses. If she wants to identify as like a woman, and you want to call her, and that's what she wants you to call her, just fucking call her a woman. It's not
gonna happen.
Okay. Let me make the whole argument.
Please make the argument.
Okay,
I'm so curious what this.
Let me make the whole argument.
Give it to us.
I don't think the average person thinks that much about trans, especially the average conservative person. What I think the frustration was, and now they shouldn't have that frustration because now they're in power, but I think the frustration was, for years, they felt like there was a lot of, there's a lack of, I think, common sense is the rhetoric that you're seeing now from the right, that there was a lack of common sense with like Democrat ideology and the things they were pushing through. And trans is just the highest rung of the ladder. So it would start at something like this, and this is what a lot of my friends were hearing. It's like, we don't call people Latinos or Latinas. We call them Latinx. And then you would go to your friends and you'd be like, what do you, like, yo, do y'all want to be called Latinx? And they'd be like, I don't even know what the fuck that is, right? And then you'd go back to your work and be like, yeah, I spoke to some of my Spanish friends that they don't even know what Latinx is. And then the reaction is, how dare you? What are you, some bigot? That's racist. Stop being so insensitive. So immediately you get taken back. You go, okay, wow. I was just asking questions. I spoke to my Spanish friends. They said that they don't even want to be called that. But all right, this kind of feels weird, but I'm not going to push back. Then you find out that like a drag queen is teaching English at your school or something like that, which I know is blown out of proportion. But still, you hear a story about it, and you're like, you just go into the school. You're like, hey, just out of curiosity, why is there like a drag queen like teaching the kindergartners how to read? What is that about? How dare you? What are you, some bigot? But they're a performer. We have performers come in here all the time. Be like, okay, I'm just asking a question.
Let me ask everyone watching. When did reading time turn into RuPaul's pre-K runway? How is this even a debate? Why are basic questions now treated like hate speech? You ask why a grown man in stilettos is in your kid's classroom, and suddenly you're the problem. Maybe the problem isn't you. Maybe the problem is that the culture's gone completely unhinged, and you're just the only one with the guts to say something.
You keep calling me a bigot, and the feeling, the emotional feeling for like the parent or the person in that situation is, hey, this doesn't really make sense, and everybody's kind of pretending. And then the final rung of that ladder is trans women competing in women's sports, right? And I think that not that many people are actually really caring about trans people or thinking about them every single day, but it's like it's the argument that is infallible. You present it to your friend that is like, staunchly Democratic. You present it to your congressman. You're like, hey, do you think this is unfair? You made me feel like a bigot with the Latinx thing. You made me feel weird about the drag queen thing. But this thing, this is 1 + 1 = 2. And if you refute that, it's actually very comforting for the conservative, because you go, oh, this whole time I was being gaslit into thinking I was the crazy person, when in reality you're not operating on like an honest playing field. You're caught up in the ideology. So I think that's really what it is. So I don't care if some trans person wants me to call them a woman. Like, I'm going to call you a woman. I'm not going to like put my fucking foot down about it. I don't
Andrew,
give a
if I told you right now, call me daddy, would you call me daddy?
No.
Why not?
Well, because
Call
you're
me
not my
daddy,
dad.
Andrew.
But you're not my dad.
But I want you to call me daddy. I view myself as your daddy.
Well, but you're not my dad.
But you're right. They're
Yeah.
not. She's not a man.
But if you want
she's
me,
not a woman.
But if
she's
you
a
wanted
man.
me to call you son, I would call you son.
Yeah, I get what you're doing. You're having fun with it, right?
No, I'm not. It doesn't affect me at all. Calling me daddy
son-
insults my dad.
Yeah, but
But,
calling you ma'am insults my intelligence. It insults science. It insults facts. Okay.
If the kid, if you're sorry for the
You raise them well, and then later on they're an adult, 24
Right.
years old, they transition and become transgender. He says, but I feel sorry for the kid when they transition, when they're a teenager, and I blame the parent. So to me, a part of what happened is, in Hollywood, you're looking at all these guys, and their kids are trans, and it's like a competition. -2, -2, me too, me too, me too.
A lot of them.
So that's the pure pressure of being accepted. Then on the other side, when you're talking about empathy, I feel empathy for kids all the flipping time when I meet them. Because the kid is not yet fully developed. I'm like, dude, I truly feel bad for this kid.
Yep.
But he's not coming to, we're not raising him. He's going to go to those parents' house. And if you say something, the parents, you're now in that. So you sympathize with the kid. You try to give some feedback to the parents if there's a relationship there. Typically, there's not. So then you're like, dude, I'm asked out. I really want to find a way to do something with this. I feel bad for the kid. And then on the other side, when you're like a parent comes up, and a father came up to me, one of our neighbors, he says, hey, my son just told me this, and we're at dinner at Casa D'Angelo, Jennifer sitting right next to me. The man is crying. He's in his mid-50s. He's like, what do I do?
Yeah.
And then I feel for him because he's not doing it. But the part about this that's the black and white, not the gray area, we should be compassionate. We should have empathy. Even for this guy named McBride, we should have empathy for him. What caused him to get here? What happened with his upbringing with his parents?
Yeah.
What happened? I don't know. I feel bad. Like even when the Chelsea Handler thing was going on, and she's talking shit to Adam, Adam's talking shit to Chelsea, the lifestyle she lives. And then you go and look it up, bro. She was 9 years old. Her love of her life was her older brother, 22 years old. He decides to go camping. He's climbing a mountain or whatever it is. He falls and he dies. Never comes home. Dad was, I believe, a car dealership salesman. And she is devastated. The house is devastated. She sees the most powerful man in her house, her father, not know how to handle it. Yeah, of course she's not going to want to have any kind of commitment. You know that kind of pain? So these are the things we're not aware of.
Yeah.
We should have compassion.
That's beautiful.
We should have empathy.
That's beautiful empathy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's true empathy. You feel bad for it, right? But at the same time, that still doesn't justify me having to call you a man. My opinion.
Or what about the empathy towards someone in your position? Like, what would you want them to understand? What would you want someone operating in good faith? They think what they're trying to do is they're like, I believe in trans. I want to make sure that kids are able to do this if they do feel comfortable. How would you like them to have empathy for you? What do they not understand about you as a parent? Like, these are the discussions I think a lot of times we don't have because there's this like dunk on culture.
Right.
So like, what is it you'd like someone in good faith?
Right.
They're not a psychopath. They're someone who's really trying to make the best decision.
Okay, so you said something earlier. You said, I think both sides care about kids. I don't know. I think the percentage would be more people on the right care for kids than those on the left.
So here's the deal. Empathy is not the same thing as delusion. You can feel for people without rewriting reality to suit every identity crisis. And when the left keeps pushing this ideological fantasy on kids, on families, on institutions, it's not empathy anymore. It's cultural sabotage. Smash that like button if you're done being told that 2 + 2 equals whatever someone feels like today. And let me know in the comments, at what point do we say enough is enough?